So why is your fee 10% when this other property manager is doing it at 5% or 6% or 8%, right? Or a flat fee? Man, I can definitely empathize with that one as a business owner. And that's why when I found out what Chris Weidley was doing in a way to differentiate himself, it's just something I've had to get really, really loud about. This is Chris Weidley from Redwood Prime Realty. He was on a past episode. Basically he is developing downtown Altoona and changing his industry, but in his property management business, he has found a really, really innovative way to use AI, not just for process improvement or transformation, which, like in making maintenance run for itself, right? Like that's obviously something we've talked about before. He's using it for sales, and it's not like a AI outbound SDR kind of thing that you hear about. He is positioning his technology as his absolute advantage that demands a premium, and he breaks it all out right now in the first 10 minutes of this podcast, walks you through it, and then just talks about his whole philosophy in general. You're really going to enjoy this. Chris has become one of my favorite people in property management, so obviously back on the podcast, no surprise there. Enjoy this conversation with Chris Weidley. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. You got a Randy Johnson slider.
I do.
Tell me more.
I do. It's called the Vendoroo. That's what we call it. And starts high, just drops in.
Yeah.
So obviously, business is relationships. So I'm not going to just show a cool new tool and somebody's going to trust me to manage the property, which most likely is the most valuable thing they have. Okay. So as a property manager, you develop the relationship. Obviously on my end, I own doors and we're very good at what we do. And we got very capable people in this office here that are just wonderful. But normally towards the end of the conversations, especially, if I feel like we're in the running, I say, hey, and we use AI. Do you know what that means? Like, no. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to call in and have a conversation, all right, with our AI tenant and pretend that I've got something wrong in my apartment, right? Because one of the big deals is not what you pay me, it's what you pay all the maintenance people. That's the real cost of property management, right? If I'm going to charge you market max here at 10, which is double what others are going to charge, I need to have a reason for that. And that's because whatever I'm charging you extra here is going to pale in comparison to the maintenance tickets I can save you, all right? And that's where Vendoroo comes in. So what I do is I say, hey Siri, call Weidley Properties. And so it's just touchless. I don't even type in a number, right?
Thank you for calling Redwood Prime Realty. This is Alex. How can I help you today?
Hi, Alex. My name's Chris. I'm having an issue with my sink.
I'm sorry to hear you're having an issue with your sink. Chris, let me help you with that. Could you please provide the address for the property where the issue is occurring?
Yeah, sure. It's 1318 19th Avenue, Altoona. I'll give you the unit here too.
Great, Chris. Could you please provide the unit number for your address?
Yeah, it's 402.
Thank you, Chris. I found your unit at 402, 1318 19th Avenue, Altoona. Could you please describe the issue you're experiencing with your sink?
Yeah, hey, it's 2 a.m. right now, and I just noticed there's some water dripping underneath my sink here, and I'm concerned about it, and I wanted to call in and get it fixed.
Chris, I understand your concern. Could you let me know if the leak is actively flowing or dripping in a way that you cannot contain, such as water spreading or risking flooding? Or are you able to stop or contain it by turning off the undersink shutoff valves and catching it in a bucket?
Oh, well, you're not, it's not overflowing, that's for sure. It's a drip. It was getting the bottom of the sink wet though. So you're saying I can just put a bucket underneath there, and you want me to turn the valves off? underneath. Is that what you're telling me to do? If it's just dripping?
Yes, Chris. If it's just a drip and not actively flooding, placing a bucket underneath to catch the water and turning off the under-sink shutoff valve would help contain the issue for now. This will prevent further water damage until maintenance can address it. Let me know if you're able to do that, and I'll proceed with logging your request.
Yeah, actually, my wife just did that here. We're both up, and boy, we were just worried about the person downstairs getting wet or us being liable for this. But yeah, we got a bucket underneath there, and we were able to, there was some knobs there. I guess that's the supply lines. We turned those, and it seems like it's stopped. So is that good?
Sounds like you've done a great job containing the issue by turning off the valve and using a bucket. Based on this, it's not considered an emergency, but I'll still log a work order for maintenance to address the problem as soon as possible. Can I get your full name, including your last name, to include in the work order?
Yeah, it's Tom Smith.
Thank you, Chris Smith. Is the number you're calling from 814-600-1618 the best number to reach you for follow-up?
Yes, ma'am.
Your work order has been successfully submitted. Chris, maintenance will reach out to you shortly to address the issue. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
No, that's fantastic. I can't believe you guys answered the phone at 2 a.m. I was like just hoping to get somebody here tomorrow, and I was just really hoping I wasn't going to be liable for this.
Thank you for calling Redwood Prime Realty. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. So what I explained to them then is like, that's real time. That just created a ticket in our system. We have record of it, right? So what it also did was that tenant was able to call in, no cost to you, actually kind of triage that. Now what's going to happen next is there's going to be a residue, I believe they call it, that will text me. Now it takes about 5 minutes. So while we're talking here, you'll see it pop up. And they'll actually try to triage it further. So they'll be like, hey, do you mind just tightening those nuts underneath there, seeing if it starts again? And they'll go through that whole thing. Now, if it was an emergency, there was water coming down, it would have called one of our emergency staff that we have set up in our system so that no matter what happens, at whatever time of night, we're only getting the calls that are emergencies, and she's great at that. And then everything else is getting logged in the system. And ideally, one, you're not paying for an emergency plumber to come out for a little drip in the sink, which, let's be honest, that's what would happen if they called into an emergency line and went straight to a plumber, right? That's not happening in Vendoroo, right? She's able to discern it, figure it out. It's way advanced on that front. As advanced as that is, what's coming with the text messages is like 10 times better. They're going to ask questions, ask for pictures, ideally solve the problem, and you don't even get charged for anybody to come out and see it, let alone an emergency plumber, which, how much would that cost, man? Right?
Yep.
$500 to come out at 3 in the morning to fix a drip, and I know my building isn't going to have any water in it. I'm not going to be liable as a property manager for missing it. She's going to handle all that whatever time of the day. And it is a game changer. So whatever you're going to receive an extra charge from me for being excellent, right? You're going to save in maintenance costs because she's doing that 24 hours a day. And it is, so you go ahead, you talk to the guy that's going to do it for 5%, and ask him what happens if someone has a drip in their sink at 3 a.m. Or ask him what happens if it's overflowing, pouring down into 3 units below it at 3 a.m. And tell me if I'm worth the extra 5%. And it's just like, you know, the jaw hits the floor. I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm like, and I say the best part is it gets better every day. Like that's systematically better than it was last month, certainly last year, and every day it gets better. And we haven't even gotten the text messages yet that are like the next level. Like, you know, Alex was a little wonky, paused a little bit. You could tell it wasn't a person, although I've got a building with 55 plus people here. Yeah. And a lot of them think Alex is like, they'll like tell her stories and clue her in and they love her. So it's a game changer. That's the Randy Johnson slider, and it blows it away. And there she is. You know, so she's going in and she's going to triage this. We won't spend all the time going through it, but it's that much better. You can ask her questions. You can even say, hey, I got it stopped. and it'll actually close out the work order in our system. So we won't even send a maintenance guy out there if it stopped, and then she'll check back in to make sure it's okay. It's a game changer, and it doesn't cost you anything. That's in the 10%. So am I worth it or am I not? And they're just like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
So that's the power of Vendoroo.
So that works.
Yeah.
Does that close deals, or do they then go check and then come back to you and be like, yeah, you're right, these people do it? Like, what's the hit rate on
We've
that?
it's hard to walk away from that, right? And I encourage people, go talk. Like, this isn't a pressure situation.
Yeah.
This has to work for both of us. You have to like us. We have to like you. We have to feel comfortable with your units. You need to feel comfortable with our excellence. But anybody you ask, say, hey, what happened at 2 a.m.? The other thing they're working on is the rental application side of it too. So like to be able to call in and say, hey, I'm looking for a property, be able to scan our website, which goes back to our source of truth, which for us is Redvine. And then they could call in at 2 a.m. asking for what's available, right? And get pre-approved, have a showing for 10 a.m. that next morning, right? And flawlessly, seamlessly, where someone's at 3 a.m. looking for an apartment, and they're able to actually see it the next day. Like when it comes to sales, it's how fast can you get to a yes?
Speed to lead.
With Vendoroo, it's now. It's not, well, when somebody gets back to them, or hey, we'll have somebody call. There's nobody's getting called back. It's just done.
Yeah.
And it's seamless. What's the value of that?
Like I told you, man, two things, right? One is I had never heard anybody tell me that they're like closing deals with Vendoroo, and now you're the second person in 2 days to tell me this. So I'm looking for more stories like this. I think it's brilliant. But what you just mentioned right now, I think is very, very real. It's the reality of the person that you are competing against in this market. Like once they start using Vendoroo, using AI intelligently to solve issues when they come up instead of when I get back to you, that will be the new standard in the market.
Ooh.
And if you're already doing it, you now have this arbitrage where you're closing deals with it. But I would hate to be on the other side of it where somebody else is doing it and I'm losing business to that guy just because I'm not doing it. And this is going to be ubiquitous in no time. People are going to start demanding this if it's working this well.
I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, if you had properties and your guy wasn't using this, he was charging you emergency plumber rates for fake stuff, right? So like even in our side of things, like what we'll do, and we have this in our leases and we do it. So if somebody lies to her and says it's an emergency, they get charged. They get charged because they lied. And here's the cool part. All right, now we're getting to the next part, and I didn't even think about this, but this needs to be in the situation. There is a copy of everything she talked about with them. So if we have for instance, that may or may not have happened before, somebody has a leaky faucet, and because they want us to come out, they call in and say, there is a river flowing down our stairs, right, of water. You need to come here right now. Well, that's recorded for posterity's sake.
Yeah.
So when we send the emergency plumber out there, and it is a dripping faucet, real story now, we go back and say, this is what you said. Why did you lie? Here is the $500 plumber bill, okay? Because I'm not paying for it, right? In this situation, it was one of my properties, right? And don't ever lie again because you're being recorded. You know, everything you say is there. It's dropped in the system, word for word, verbatim of how it is so that you can make sure you deal with the bad actors too. So it's, boy, every time I think through different iterations of this, and you're riding that wave on the front end of it, that you know you're going to get swallowed up. I mean, if I'm not using AI right now in any field, right, let alone property management, because Vendoroo is like cornered that, right? I should expect to get bought out, bought up, run out of business. Because it's coming.
How would you have pre-Vendoroo, how would you have proven to that person that they lied?
It would have been hearsay.
Would have been hearsay.
It would have been hearsay. You know, like pre-Vendoroo, what we used to have, and I thought I was pretty slick with this, okay? We had a call center, which was more expensive than Vendoroo. And that call center charged by the minute, and they would answer calls and they would determine whether it was an emergency or not, right? And then they would call a series of people, and we thought we were pretty slick. And we were the cutting edge of that, right? But Vendoroo does it cheaper, does it more efficiently. They're not going to tell them to, put a bucket underneath it. Their job was simply to collect data and call somebody. So I'm getting woken up in the middle of the night. My foreman, head of maintenance, is getting woken up in the middle of the night, right? For something that I didn't need woken up for.
And in this scenario, that call center, would it have been they put the note into the system saying, river coming down the stairs, that's why we're dispatching the emergency. And then your evidence is now, my notes in the system say that you said this, and the person can be like, I didn't say that. That person is a call center. They're in Nicaragua. They're not. They didn't understand me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It becomes a hearsay.
Yeah.
And it's recorded. I mean, the voices are recorded.
Yeah. That to me is, like you said, when you did it, I think you and I both kind of like smiled at the corner of our mouths because you had an aha moment. I had an aha moment. For me, the aha moment is, this is something I have been talking about. This idea that perfect record keeping, and when AI, like perfect record keeping is essentially a myth for businesses, right? It's like dry land in water world.
Yeah.
Like you are, in general, you are, before this ability, you're counting on salespeople, customer success people, your maintenance line, whatever, to go from thing that creates a reason to make a decision or next action to putting it into whatever your system of record is, to then taking your next action. And the reality of the matter is, in property management in particular, and in maintenance in property management in particular, yes, maintenance issue happens randomly, but often maintenance issues happen in bundles. There's a weather event, and therefore there's a bundle of things that happened, and your need to just like get to it makes for a very difficult scenario of actually writing down the context of why each different decision gets made. So now, when you put AI into this thing, not only can it handle all the things concurrently so everybody gets answered at once and there's no more call you later, but you also get the recorded conversation of why it happened. You get the AI's reasoning of why it made the decision in completion. You get, if you move on to if you're in the vendor coordination package, you have the time of reach out to resident, time of reach out to vendor, reminders of vendor, responses from vendors across texts, across emails, across everything. And then you have final invoice all perfectly in your property management system in a place that now allows you to search it and it'd be a perfect piece of truth, whether you are arguing with a resident, whether you're arguing with a vendor, where you're arguing it in court 3 years later.
Yeah.
All of it is an undeniable source of truth that has like perfect information, which I think is like something most people don't understand. Or at least haven't conceptualized.
Well, when you have humans, and I've got great people. I've just got phenomenal people here.
Yeah.
I couldn't find better, right? But we're all human, right? We all get sick. We all get, all these things happen, right? So Vendoroo allows us to be able to spread out the burden, right? By articulating what is an emergency, what's not an emergency. And then it just drops it into the system. So we have yet to take that next step. We're working towards it. I want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. It has nothing to do with Vendoroo on that front to take that next step, because we do a lot of our own in-house maintenance. So we're trying to figure out what a bunch of retired guys work with us. So that's the piece that we're trying to figure out. If we just had vendors, if that's how we did our business. So if there's a property manager out there where there's no maintenance on their side of things, they just are calling vendors, I would have done this right away, right? I just have a more hands-on approach with my construction team, which we're just trying to make sure on the back side, not Vendoroo, but on our back side, that we're able to articulate that and move that properly. So that's where we are, but I can't wait to implement it. And we have, twice a week, we have conversations about how do we get from here to there so that we really can scale up.
Have you had that conversation with Juan, or are you having it internally?
It's not you guys at all, it's internally.
Interesting.
It's us being able to know in our construction.
I would encourage you to bring in our team on that conversation.
Okay.
Like, we do this for people that have in-house maintenance and people that have in-house construction, right? So like that is the piece of it, right? Like, our ability to support you making those types of decisions is exactly the thing that you and I are talking about, of like having the human layer of guiding forward so that you don't get lost in that piece.
When I was in NARPM was it November? In Orlando. So what was cool, and
where you and I met.
That's right. Fast friends. We knew we would be. And I was able to hang out with you guys and the whole team. So if you're, NARPM was just a great place to just get to know the whole team. And we'd already employed you guys, but like it was great. So, but I was able to sit down with your team and be like, hey, here's the next problem for me is I have all these in-house guys, right? So how do we do that? And that was kind of the origination of some of the conversations. On my end, I've just been busy with a lot of other stuff. I'm excited to see what you guys have.
Yeah. When we did meet at NARPM, you were one of a handful of people that were like walking in the door with a new friend every time.
Yeah.
What created that? What created the, at that point, you and I weren't friends. Now,
We didn't even know each other.
Now we're recording this conversation. You're obviously like vouching for Vendoroo at scale. At that point, that like I first met you on like the second or third person you brought into that room. Talk to me about like what was happening there. Like what made you kind of like walk people into like our booth and be like, you got to work with these guys?
Well, I won. It goes back to that. We've had a lot of conversations outside of this about the value of the people you have to implement and train the system that's top notch. The system that's top notch is not valuable unless you have good training, right? Like you take and put me in a Ferrari and go around a racetrack. I am not a skilled race car driver. I will either wreck the Ferrari or I will go down at half the speed of a race car. So you need a skilled race car driver, right, to help you learn how to be a skilled race car driver. So Juan, his support, we were so excited to see him because we become friends. And so when I'm talking to people at NARPM, right, and just chatting it up and this and that and sharing, you always want to like, at least for me, I want to give value to people, right? And when I have somebody that's taking such good care of me at Vendoroo, when I have something that, especially if somebody's out of my market, they're not my competition, right? And I'm like, there's like, hey, what's working for you? That's a lot of times. And it says, what's working for you? I'm like, I'll tell you what's working for me. Vendoroo is what's working for me. Vendoroo combined with Rentvine, talking to each other, working together. I mean, just cohesion. Everything's there. The note keeping's there. The maintenance coordination. I don't have to worry about somebody calling in at 3 a.m. and not getting an answer. Like all that stuff. All combined, I'm like, you got to go talk to these people, right? There's a dude over there dressed up in a kangaroo suit, Juan. You got to go talk to him because they will blow your mind. And just like that phone call that I do with potential clients blows everybody's mind. They say, I didn't know that was possible. I'm like, it's not just possible. It's here, and it's yours if you want it. So that's why you take somebody because it's that powerful. Like. You think about, going back to that original, like, what is the difference in business, right? Everybody, especially in the realtor world, right? It's funny. It's like, what's the difference between a good and bad realtor? Good luck trying to find a quantifiable reason that someone's a better realtor. They can say, well, I sell more property. Fair. But are you going to sell my property faster? Is it just good pictures? Is whatever it is. So everybody's trying to like play this game of like, well, I'm better because I'm more experienced. I'm not, and all those things have value. If I could sit down and say, you should buy a property from me, right? Because I'm empirically better and I will show you why right here in real time that solves real problems that you know exist this second trying to sell your house, I would close every deal, right? And I could charge a premium because I'm going to say, I'm going to get you 10% more in your house. Why don't you give me 1% more, right? And we'll you keep the 9, I keep the 1, and we're all really happy. And anybody with the right mind would do that all day. From a property manager standpoint, if somebody's in Alabama, which I think that's where that guy was that I brought in, and some others, I was like, if you can do that, that's an empirical data of why you're not just better, they'll tell you you're better.
Yeah. No, that's good business advice.
The slider,
The slider.
It's like, it's like it's World War II, only one of us has the nukes, right? Let's see how the negotiations go with Stalin, right? After we drop a bomb. No, that's horrible. To be serious. But from a business standpoint, it's like I have a tool that's so far more advanced than anything else you're going to bring to the table. That everything we were talking about is null and void because I have this thing that's just better and I will show you in front of you.
It's funny, man, because when you're saying this, so much of this makes... I feel like we, serving property managers, doing what we're doing, live in many ways very similar issues as property managers, right? Selling AI is like, I promise you that this magic thing is going to do magic, right? The voice agent, when you do it, it's a tangible thing of like, look how this thing works. And therefore, the voice agent sells a lot of like opportunities for us to serve people. And yet, you and I both know the voice agent is our worst product.
the worst product. Right. And it's still better than everything else.
The best product in the market, the worst product that we have created.
That's right.
And it's the thing that brings people in.
Yeah.
So it's such a funny, but it's the same thing. As a property manager, you can be like, yeah, no, my magic is going to make your property perform. But it's really hard to then show them a tangible way of how you do it different than the amateur. And to then be able to be like, the story that you just told by putting them on the phone and be like, this is how it gets handled at 2 a.m, as opposed to, if this wasn't happening, this is how it would affect your life, feels like a great differentiation point to sell in an undifferentiated sale.
I'll go one further on this. When you go to like a NARPM event, if you've ever been to a conference, right, all the vendors are there and everybody's trying to sell you a silver bullet, right? And the young guy, if you're new to the thing, you believe everything somebody's telling you. You come back with all these products and now you got all this, all this overhead and nothing ever does what it's supposed to do. What makes Vendoroo different and actually makes it the silver bullet? There's a dude behind there in Juan, right? Being one of the people, he was our guy, who is going to help me understand AI. You guys didn't just give me a product that was better, and it is, right? You gave me an understanding of how to implement AI in the real world to make my business better, to close deals, to streamline my processes, to be able to scale up, to lower my costs, right? To avoid unnecessary bills for me, because I'm a property owner with a large portfolio myself. I don't want a $500 bill that I don't have to pay, right? The teaching, the education that you bring along with it is worth it. Is worth the cost just in itself, because we know where this is all going.
As you know, I believe the same thing as you, right? Like the human layer is the thing that's going to drive AI adoption, right? The technology is the technology, and it's amazing already. And now everybody can do it with OpenClaw. But if you don't know what you're doing, then you're either going to fail to start, you're going to fail to ramp up, or you're going to fail to stay committed to it. And we have the human layer to do that. And I appreciate you validating that. I would love for you to tell me, if I'm somebody that's like listening to this right now, I'm thinking, okay, this sounds like, it sounds like you've put some real work into this, like all this coaching and all this stuff and being present for it. And I think that's true for most people. Can you talk to me about from like signing up with Vendoroo to the point where it was actually doing things for you and you felt like it was what was that experience?
Well, I told you a little bit about my close friend in the company, Ian. So Ian's a brilliant man, and he was against this from the get-go. And when Ian's against something, he can be quite cantankerous. And if he's listening, he's laughing right now because he knows, right? So I partly had to win over Ian. You guys had to win over Ian, right? So I said, listen, we're going to do this. If we hate it in 90 days, at least we know we hated it. But we're going to do it, and you're going to sit in a chair next to me at this desk, right? And you're going to learn this with me. So we got on with Juan, and Ian did everything he could to fluster Juan, right? To prove that this was fool's gold, right? You're going to promise me something. These machines can't do it, right? It's not now, maybe later, but it's not now. I don't believe it's the case, right? And it took 3 weeks. We met like every Tuesday or something like that for about an hour is what it was, 45 minutes, whatever that was. And Juan had to teach us both how to think differently. And it was really hard. And we're fairly intelligent individuals. He certainly is. I'll speak for him. He's very, very intelligent.
And I'll speak for you. I think you're pretty intelligent.
I appreciate that. We're able to learn things. We're able to study. We're able to innovate. But boy, it took a bit, right? And the patience of Juan, right? To walk us through. And that was Vendoroo a year ago, whatever it's been. I'm losing track of time. It's so much easier, so much more intuitive now, right? But that lockstep, walking us into that, teaching us every piece of it to implement it. And I think your question was like, how fast were you up and running? I think, and I pushed back. I didn't need to, but I just wanted to be cautious. I didn't want to turn over our phone systems. I didn't want to turn over everything until I'd spent an enormous amount of time trying to break you guys. That's what I did. I spent, I think, a full month as we're setting up the systems, doing all of our due diligence, just calling the number that you gave us, that's our number, before we patched it over, before it was integrated in anything, and just trying to break it, saying horrible things to the receptionist, right? Just messing with her every way I could, being belligerent, going on long tirades, being angry, right? That was one of the cool things that happened during that process, because these girls are awesome here. They are my front line, and they deal with a lot of abuse. Things aren't going their way. Some people can get really angry. They're listening to that chatter all the time, and it wears on you, and it gets you. It's really hard not to have a shorter temper. It's really hard to believe in people. It's really hard to do the things that you need to do and make the good decisions in that situation when you don't know the next time when you pick up the phone what you're going to get. When Alex is screening it, she can listen to some lady's 30-minute tirade on her cat, right?
Yeah.
And Alex will attempt to calm her down, right? And we don't have to deal with that. So when I started messing with the receptionist, and this was way back before she was this good, I was like, man, this is going to free up my office to do things they need to do, and more importantly, have the freshness to deal with the serious tenants and solve the problems without wanting to pull their hair out, and God forbid, quit, because I can't replace these ladies.
So that was awesome. What I'm hearing is about 3 weeks of an hour a week call in order to get it, and about a month overall before actually flipping it on and it driving results for your business.
Yes.
Between the 3 week calls, a lot of homework. Was there things that you're doing? Was it contained to those calls? Like, what was the activity?
We dropped the ball a lot. And I'd apologize to Juan because we're busy, we're running our companies, and anybody listening to this is going to be running their company, and I'm assuming they have things to do every day.
Yeah,
right?
I would make that assumption as well.
Juan was really patient. I mean, shoot, we could have got this thing done in 2 weeks. If I would have really been like, okay, this is all I want to care about, I'm going to put a dedicated, and that would be my suggestion. Like, not that the owner, I'm the broker, I'm the owner of the portfolios, et cetera. Not that I shouldn't have been in that call and be a part of it, but if I could do this over again, I would hire an AI coordinator, somebody that's going to master this and sit on top of this thing. And I have one now, and she came in after we did it. So she's like, Vendoroo is actually training her right now and setting up that second piece of it where she's lining everything out and all the stuff. So she's actively working through it, learning what we did. But if she's brilliant and she thinks well that way. If we would have had her started and I said, listen, I don't want you to do anything else other than this, we could have been up and running in 2 weeks, and it would be running better than Ian and I screwing around for a month.
Yeah. Okay.
That, to be honest, we didn't put a lot of homework in.
Okay.
No,
That's what I'm looking for.
I did sit at bars with friends and try to break your receptionist saying horrible things to her constantly while everybody's just laughing off the stools. I did do that.
It's funny. I said I had never really heard people using this for business development, and now I've heard it twice in the last 2 days. You're also twice in the last 2 days. Someone telling me, "Oh yeah, I was getting drunk and calling the receptionist
So
and,
good.
and yelling at her."
Just so
So
good.
I feel like those are two keys to success. But the real key to success of what you're talking about is something that we found to be true as well. AI team lead. Who is your AI team lead inside of your office? Because at the end of the day, this Vendoroo represents, for us, we believe it to be the ideal way to get started with AI. Because it is this scenario where the tool has been vetted. It's the most AI forward tool in your market, and also, by the way, in just about any market. This is why we are the kind of like Silicon Valley darling of actually creating change through AI. And it comes with the full human support around it in order to get you started the right way, keep you on the right track, make sure that you don't quit. And what happens for our clients when they succeed is there's going to be a moment where you're going to say, now I want to AI more things, right? So this idea of like putting someone in a role who is in charge of managing the AI agents, it might start with just Vendoroo, but eventually you're going to be doing this at scale across multiple other things, and you're going to need somebody that's going to want to like lead that kind of like organizational redesign and build out those tools. So putting someone as the AI team lead is one of the questions that we now ask when we're onboarding people. Who's going to be your AI team lead? And we see a big correlation of success there.
In November, when I was sitting down and Juan and I were just like hanging out, we bring Juan in all the time. Love the guy. I miss you, Juan, wherever you are out there, because you've moved on from the company. You don't have to listen to me anymore. But Juan he pushed back because I was like, hey, I'm hiring a maintenance manager. He's like, why are you doing that? And I was like, well, that's the next step. He's like, you have Vendoroo. Like, come on, Chris, think the way I've taught you to think. So we spent, a half an hour just, spitballing. So I came back into this office, sat down with the girl I just hired who's just over the wall there. And I said, okay, I'm going to scare you. You ready? Like, you're going to be our AI coordinator. And I was like, you don't know what that means. You don't know, and I'm not expecting you to know anything, but you will. I was like, and here's the thing. I'm going to make you so dangerous, right? I'm going to make you so powerful, right? In this AI coordinator role, that if I were to ever not treat you well, you will be able to get a phenomenal job because you understand AI in a world where no one understands AI. And, she's, I still remember her face, and she's probably laughing, listening to this right now. But I'm just like, you'll get it. And she has. She's been great,
I'm so happy to hear you say that, man, because I say this, right? I've written newsletters about this. I speak about this on stage. But as business owners, as leaders within our business, we are no longer just managing properties. We are also managing the giant change in the world that's happening to the people that work for us, right? And giving somebody the role of the AI team lead is the number one thing you can do to ensure that person has a fruitful career for the next 10 to 20 years. Beyond whatever they do for you, like you're exposing them to the highest value thing in an industry that is, this is what is being called the new collar economy, right? It's traditionally blue collar jobs that are being transformed by AI, and the person that's that bridge between the old way of doing it. It's happening in the manufacturing sector, it's happening in property management, which you could argue is manufacturing.
Yeah.
And this is the new economy, right? Like giving somebody that role is like the most empowering thing that you can be doing for that person's career and for your own company. So I love that you thought of it that way as well.
And I hope I treat her well enough that she stays for a very long time. Right?
Yeah.
And what a great thing. What a great thing. And you never want to lose anybody. What a great thing for someone to lose because you can't, for whatever reason, you weren't good enough to pay her enough to stay because she got so good.
Your wife said kingmaker yesterday.
Jim Watt said
Jim
kingmaker.
Watt said,
my wife would never call me a kingmaker.
And to me, man, the kingmaker ethos is something I speak about a lot.
Okay, I've never.
Yeah, correct. We've never talked about it.
I was called this. I have no idea what it means.
Well, it's. I say this. It's the idea that I speak about it from this standpoint. If you want to be someone of influence, if you want to be someone that affects change, if you want to be someone that can accomplish great things, it is much better to show up as a kingmaker than as a king, as a wannabe king. You show up as a wannabe king, everybody else that wants to be king is in direct competition with you. You show up as a kingmaker, everybody that wants to be king sees you as a path to success. And that is something like I have in my, my old company, Be the Stage. I have like a jacket that has like my logo here, and in the back in varsity letters it says Kingmaker.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really, and I say all this to say that I believe the most successful people in the world are kingmakers.
Yeah.
I think the best business leaders in the world are kingmakers.
Yeah.
And I think that when we cross a place where someone working for us, you're asking yourself, if I give them this opportunity, am I making them too valuable to the market? No. And I hear that. I hear that when it comes to making content.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, hey, I want to make content. I don't want it to be me, but if I give it to my VP of sales and they blow up on social media, maybe they're going to leave me. Or I hear it in this context as well, what you just said. And what I say every single time is that good. Because the moment that someone comes to you and their career becomes forever great because of you, everybody that wants to be a king will now want to come work for you.
Imagine that, yeah. I can imagine that.
It's the kingmaker ethos.
And it's hard. It's hard when people leave. I view and my wife gets on me sometimes. I care too much. It's my family. These are my people. These are people I go to war with every day, But at the end of the day, just see people flourish.
Yeah.
Know that somehow you had a hand in that. What more do you want out of life? I don't know how many buildings I amass over time or whatever I turn this brokerage into or whatever I get into, right? And we have grand plans and not unreasonable plans, as I've shared with you some of the things we're trying to do and the opportunities we have. Every one of those buildings will fall down someday. Everything I put my hand to in this life Everything material will waste away and need renovated, and eventually will be like, the ruins of Chichen Itza, right?
Yeah.
Where people might come and say, wow, I wonder who built this thing. I wonder what it was.
Yeah.
That's the best I'd get.
Yeah.
That's the best I'd get. But you take people and you believe in them and you give them what they need to succeed. And you do everything you can to help them get wherever they need to go, whether that's, in their emotional life with their families, is that spiritually in my world, if that's just in business, right? What more do you want? And then it does put pressure on you to make sure you treat people well and make sure you continually try not to live in a state of fear and protection and live just trusting that whatever the Lord's brought you, he's going to bring to fruition with whoever he chooses to do that with. And just, it's hard. I'm not telling you that I don't, the thought of any one of these people leaving right now would be just detrimental to me.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I hope in my heart I'd be able to just be really, really happy for them.
Yeah. I love that, man. It's Kingmaker ethos.
It's not natural human nature.
It's not.
I fight
Yeah.
the natural human nature.
Yeah.
The natural human nature is to be king, to want everyone else to bow down to you, and people to believe that you're something that you're not.
Yeah.
That's the human ethos, and it is the thing that destroys everybody.
Yeah.
If they let it.
It's not human nature, and yet I find it to be the best strategy that has ever, I think it's the most underrated strategy that people misunderstand,
Yeah.
This was awesome. Appreciate this.
Oh man, anytime, Pablo. This is love.
You're the man.